Hi, welcome to this Excel tutorial video, and today we're going to look at naming cells and ranges that's designed to save you a lot of time and effort when working with multiple worksheets. So let's look at what we're looking at on screen here. I've got a worksheet called Setup, and it has got some parameters in here that I'm going to reference in my various other worksheets. So in each of my worksheets, I want to calculate the VAT of a particular value and then the gross of that same value. And I'm going to calculate that by using my parameters in here. So what I can do is I can say equals this value times by, and I can come here and say that, and that will calculate my VAT. And if I say equals this value times by this value, it'll calculate my gross. And then I can, by adding my little dollar signs, I can quite easily then drop that down here, and then there's all the data that I'm looking for. I've got to do that with each spreadsheet, which is kind of fine, except when I get to my spreadsheets that are here, if I want to do it that way, I've got to say equals, and I can type, if I remember the name of the worksheet, I can type the worksheet and the reference, but I don't know what that is, so I'll have to go back to here, and then I've got to go to here, and then I click on this. So it can get quite, unless you've got a good memory, it can get quite complicated, and you can forget kind of what you're doing. So what Excel allows you to do is it allows you to name cells. So I've got a cell here, it's called B3, but it's just simply called B3. This on here there's a cell called B3. So that doesn't really help me. So what I want to be able to do is name it so that I can reference it, so that I don't have to remember that it's on worksheet setup B3. I can just call the cell by its name. And we do that by using this little area here, where it says B3. While I've got B3 selected, I'm going to go here and delete that, and I'm going to type in the word VAT. Now, if I come out here, I'm in cell D10. If I now go to B3, I'm in a cell called VAT. And if I do the same thing below and I choose VAT, I'm going to call this VAT Calc, because they've all got to be unique, the names. I've now got in setup worksheet, cell B4 is called VAT Calc. So now that I've got these set up, I can now reference them. So if I now go to my February worksheet here and I say equals that times, I no longer need to go to setup and find my cell. I know what it's called. It's called VAT. And as I type VAT, you can see I've got the option of VAT and VAT Calc. So I'm going to choose VAT, and if I go to here, I'm going to say equals that times, and as I start typing, you can see it knows what you're looking for. Choose VAT Calc. Oops. And then also, because I've selected VAT Calc, that is that is B3 within setup, or B4 within setup. I don't need to worry about referencing the cell in any other way. I don't need to think about putting dollar signs to stop it from the reference from changing. It's going to go to that cell regardless. So if I just run this down, all of these are going to VAT Calc and all of these are going to VAT, and they will reference precisely those fields. So if I go to here and if I click on the little drop down, it knows I've got a couple of cells somewhere within my worksheet called VAT and VAT Calc. And if I select them, it takes me to them. So I can be right the way over here in one of these worksheets, and I can go, let me go back to this, what's VAT Calc? Press it, takes you to setup and B4. And that's really, really handy. However, we can go even further than that. So let's look at this worksheet here. We don't have to do it for single fields. We can also do it for larger bits of data, larger ranges. So maybe I want to say I want to know all of the gross for May. So if I highlight this whole range here, I can name this range, and I want to call it May gross. Now, if I were to, if I now want to do a sum for this range here, I can do equals sum. And if I start typing May, you'll see May gross. And if I select May gross, I've got to select it, sorry. It will give me this value here as May gross. And if I go here and highlight them, you will see 2071.2. It's the same amount that we're getting from summing May gross. So summing May gross sums the range that is called May gross. So if I select this drop down and select May gross, it will highlight that range. And it doesn't have to stop there. I can say, all right, I want to know the whole of May plus VAT, which should be the same value, but I can call this range May and VAT. And I can now say equals sum, and as I start typing, there's May and VAT. Same value, but there it is. So it's very useful. Naming cells and ranges, really, really useful. It just means you just have to remember the name of the cell. You don't have to think about which worksheet it's on or which cell reference it is. Just name it and then use it by the name. Hopefully that was helpful. Any questions or comments, please leave feedback and I'll answer you. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.